And Tamara, you said in the book, very, very moving, that you, you aren't much of a crier and you hadn't cried for a very long time. And then when this whole movement started and the Canadian peoples began to come out to support you, you said that you started crying a lot seeing all these Canadians and how they took a stand. Tell us a bit about that, of how you were moved to tears for the first time in a long time.
I was, and it's not that I have a cold heart. It just took a lot to make me cry. I just wasn't emotional, but the display of unity, um, the whole country coming together like that. I've said in a few interviews now, I have always been admired and been fascinated by Americans' love of their flag and their patriotism. Like we have our Canada Day here, but I always watch July 4th celebrations because you
Yeah.
guys are fantastic. And I would say that that was the closest thing to that feeling that, I've ever had.
Mm.
And it was so moving to hear these stories from people. And, we came through Manitoba, and and along the highway was native drummers in full regalia drumming for us on the side of the road. And beside them was some Sikh gentlemen. And beside them was Hutterite women with their little kids holding signs. And beside them was nuns in full habits. And I realized at that moment that everything that we've been told has been a lie.
Mm.
Our prime minister has tried to divide us by race. He's
Mm.
tried to divide us by religion, income bracket, geographical location, everything that he possibly can. And I realized at that moment that, it didn't matter what color you were, what God you worshiped. None of it mattered at that point. We were just all Canadian. And
Mm.
it was so beautiful.
You know, the person that's talking right now doesn't sound very much like a Nazi white supremacist, but that's what the left and Trudeau and the whole leftist media tried to paint you guys as. But not just that. Let's just back up a little bit into what I had asked earlier about your ethnic makeup. You know, it's very interesting how the left pretends that it represents minorities and it's really worried about racism, and, you know, the left is for the natives. But then all of a sudden, if a native Indian doesn't agree with what their ideology says, they try to take the native Indian out of the native Indian. You went through a period there where the left was trying, you're not the right kind of native Indian for them. And the left tried to strip you of your ethnicity and who you really are, right?
Yes, they tried to say I was a liar, that and that's the hilarious thing. In early 2020 here, January to March of 2020, we had predominantly First Nations activists blockading railroads, shutting down ferries, burning railroads, causing vandalism. CP Rail had to lay off 1,000 workers. So the economy was greatly impacted all across the country. Grocery stores were shelves were empty. And our because it was for something that our prime minister liked, he kept encouraging dialogue. He didn't want to arrest anyone. He didn't want to come down with a heavy hand. He was saying, well, we got to keep talking to these people. And so here's me, we go to Ottawa, and the first thing they do is question my heritage. Now, if I would have been there to support Black Lives Matter or gay pride or whatever you wish, they would be flying me across the country giving me medals right now. Instead, they were questioning my indigenous heritage.
Yeah, we really see the ugliness of the left here, Tamara. Just in terms of that issue right there itself, it's very, very telling.